Welcome to the AC 24/7 Top Story Countdown. We'll guide you through the biggest news of the day. Our focus, advocating our rights, advocating health, and advocating Earth. Here's our pick for number 4.
The infighting from the Republican majority in the House wages on, barreling the U.S. government toward a shutdown at the end of the month.
Well, I'm not a fan of government shutdowns. I've seen a few of them over the years. They never have produced a policy change, and they've always been a loser for Republicans politically.
The Republican infighting has threatened House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's leadership position, but McCarthy is vowing to bring a vote to the floor Thursday for a Republican-negotiated short-term spending bill, despite already having to pull a procedural vote Tuesday.
Listen, I think the best way to handle anything is you work through this conference and you get the work done, and that's what we're doing.
More than a dozen GOP lawmakers are refusing to support the continuing resolution, forcing moderate lawmakers from both parties to look at other options to avoid a shutdown. The so-called Problem Solvers Caucus is set to meet today, along with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Democrats have always stepped in to save us in situations like this, but you have to have a Republican Party that's willing to compromise, that's willing to work with us.
The group is looking at a plan that could include the use of an arcane measure called a discharge petition, which includes a complex set of maneuvers that would allow the House to send a spending bill to the Senate. That option could include a temporary stopgap measure that could keep spending at current levels, provide money for natural disasters, perhaps aid to Ukraine, and could include some border security provisions.
Well, if moderate Republicans sign a discharge petition with Democrats, they are signing their own political death warrant.
If the clown show of colleagues that refuse to actually govern does not want to pass a CR, I will do everything we need to make sure that a CR passes. The bottom line here is this: we're not shutting the government down.
Further complicating matters, a crucial defense bill is still in limbo in Congress.
5 individual members of the Republican conference that are solely responsible for this happening.
I think it's disrespectful to our active duty, to our veterans and our current service members. They deserve better than this from Congress. It's a good bill.
TheAdvocateChannel.com looks at the world through the lens of equality and inclusion. Subscribe, like, and share now. AC 24/7's Top Story Countdown continues with our producer's pick for number 3.
My fellow leaders, we gather once more at an inflection point in world history.
U.S. President Joe Biden urging the United Nations to stand with Ukraine as war with Russia drags on and he battles for more aid money with his Congress.
But I ask you this: if we abandon the core principles of the United States to appease an aggressor, can any member state in this body feel confident that they are protected? If you allow Ukraine to be carved up, is the independence of any nation secure? I'd respectfully suggest the answer is no.
The message meant to galvanize many war-weary countries nearly 600 days after Russia's invasion that Ukraine could be any of them. Poland, Ukraine's neighbor to the west, knows that all too well.
On 1st September 1939, Nazi Germany invaded my homeland, Poland. The Second World War broke out. On 17th September 1939, we received a blow from another direction. The Soviet Union also made an onslaught on Poland. This is precisely why we understand the tragedy of Ukraine better than any other country in the world.
Poland has been a staunch supporter of Ukraine, providing military aid, transportation, and refuge for thousands.
Upon Russian aggression on Ukraine, the Poles have once again illustrated that solidarity is not only the great history, but that solidarity lives in us.
Ukraine's president, making his first in-person visit to the forum, called on all countries to join the fight.
We must act united to defeat the aggressor and focus all our capabilities and energy on addressing these challenges.
and that the founding principles of the United Nations must be upheld.
Weaponization must be restrained. War crimes must be punished. Deported people must come back home, and the occupier must return to their own land. We must be united to make it, and we'll do it. Slava Ukraini!
Like the Advocate channel on Facebook for the best way to get updates on stories that advocate for equality, justice, our rights, and more. AC 24/7 continues with today's top 2 pick.
People are running out of the excess savings that they had, and banking sector loan growth has slowed.
By anyone's yardstick, the U.S. economy is facing a few financial hurdles.
Input costs are through the ceiling. My risk exposure is through the ceiling. It's a risky, scary time.
First, there's the United Auto Workers strike, which may soon expand.
If we don't make serious progress by noon on Friday, September 22nd, more locals will be called on to stand up and join the strike.
The writers' strike in Hollywood is also ongoing. AAA says gas prices are reaching record levels, affecting everyone from commuters to farmers.
Last year, we put out $31,000 in fuel. I'm scared to even imagine what it's going to be this year.
New home building in the U.S. collapsed 11% in August, according to the Census Bureau. And to top it off, Washington, D.C. has less than 2 weeks to prevent the government from being forced to close its doors.
We're days away, once again, from a government shutdown, all at the hands of this endless MAGA madness.
You know, I'm not a fan of government shutdowns. I've seen a few of them over the years. They never have produced a policy change.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Follow the Advocate channel on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated on stories that matter every day. Here's our #1 story of the day. Take a look.
Growing lines of migrants cross between official border checkpoints waiting to turn themselves into U.S. border authorities in El Paso.
Fuerte.
It's hard, this mother says, carrying a toddler she struggles to feed. This man holds a sign begging for work to buy a bus ticket. Please support me to complete my ticket. There's a growing number of migrants crossing into the United States, raising concerns this could be the early stages of a renewed surge of illegal immigration. In recent days, a crush of people flooded into Mexico's southern border and continued north. Large migrant groups have been spotted on trains heading to the U.S. southern border. In El Paso, city officials say they've helped more than 4,000 migrants in the last week.
As they come in, they're processing at that table.
John Martin runs a network of local shelters and says they're already over capacity.
Just a few days ago, we were up at 170 here at this location for a facility that comfortably should be no more than 120.
Daily encounters in El Paso are about 1,200 per day. Most migrant shelters are full, some migrants are sleeping outside, but the city is using hotels like this one to handle the overflow. It's where we met Dorcas Escobedo and Neri Tino. The couple left Guatemala a year ago. They're telling me that they spent about a month in Juarez waiting to cross legally through the proper channels, but they started noticing many other people starting to cross illegally across the river and turning themselves in, so they decided to do the same thing. The crisis is not limited to El Paso.
We've transported hundreds of people to the airport.
A surge in San Diego has volunteers dealing with thousands of migrants. Many, like this 24-year-old from Ecuador, are on their way to family already inside the country. He says he wants what every person comes here to do, to work and live here, breathe new air. A Homeland Security official tells CNN 8,000 migrants, including families, were apprehended Monday on the U.S. southern border. That number higher than the 3,500 per day average in May, right after Title 42 COVID restrictions ended. But in El Paso, this migrant surge doesn't rival those during Title 42, at least not yet.
The only thing that I can affirmatively say, we're starting to see the larger number of people, and I think it should be heeded as a warning.